My name is Thomas Tucker.
Yeah.
I'm an associate professor here in the School of Visual Arts here at Virginia Tech.
My name is Todd Ogle. I am the Senior Director of Networked Learning Environments at TLOS at Virginia Tech.
My name is Jeff Joyner. I'm an Assistant Professor of Practice and the Director of Floor Design at Virginia Tech.
My name is Amelia Munoz. I'm a graduating MFA student in Creative Technologies, and my thesis focuses in immersive virtual reality.
Hello, this is Jeremy from Civil Engineering. My major is in Transportation Engineering.
My background is pretty varied. I do all kinds of cool stuff with 3D animation, and some of these things, some of my research does lend itself to augmented reality and virtual reality. Some of my other projects also involve scanning 3D spaces. So anything with 3D or motion or animation, I'm really interested in with my research.
I've worked with virtual reality since about 1999, starting out working in the Cave, which is today called the VizCube, which is on the 3rd floor here in Torgerson Hall, and desktop VR using VRML. And these days I spend more time with augmented reality, but I also still work with virtual reality on the desktop and in the Cube with the Oculus Rift, and a little bit on the iPad as well, tablet.
Probably not immersive virtual reality. I have some experience with augmented reality. I worked with a client who is in charge of the design for a historical foundation, and they use augmented reality to highlight parts of Blacksburg where neighborhoods used to be 100 years ago, and the augmented reality is meant to show visitors to the museum the architecture and houses and neighborhood that used to be there.
My thesis is taking a medieval church from the 11th century and putting it into VR. So that included photogrammetry, so capturing the church in 3 dimensions, and then bringing it into Unity and putting it into an immersive virtual space. And I then use the Cube to implement motion capture. So when you're walking around, you're not only limited to your HMD, your head-mounted display, but you're also able to physically move through the space. So that's my focus of research.
We have some research on to study the driver's behavior in front of the traffic, and we use the virtual reality to simulate the environment of the traffic and the buildings and the road. We need to study the traffic response and the behavior.
I don't think I've seen any augmented reality or virtual reality that's harmful. You know, I don't know what the future lies with this technology, but I think, you know, it's basically a new way of getting information out there, either visually through 3D animations, augmented over a 3D space, or, you know, pop-ups with text, so people can geolocate information into the environment. So I don't think there's going to be anything harmful, but you know, it's the very beginnings of the technology. So things could arise, but I think most part it's going to be positive.
I think it has a lot of potential benefits as far as visualization of scientific data, or of what I'm mostly interested in is historical information. I also think that, I don't know if this is too far from what you're looking for, but augmented reality has potential for use in those same sorts of visualization contexts, but also in a heads-up display type mode for just like Google Glass, where you get additional information about things, or in your car. I know BMW's been doing some stuff with heads-up display on their windshield in their car. There's still issues of simulator sickness with virtual reality because of tracking. I know that's the primary thing the Oculus Rift guys are hoping to improve. So that can be a little bit, I don't know if it's harmful, but it's a detriment to the experience. And I think another risk is just too much distraction from perhaps
Yeah.
the task that you're supposed to be working on if the experience isn't designed well.
I could see it being very beneficial. I think if it's used in the right way, it could be great for instance, for architects to show potential clients how space might look for interiors, and also for, I think of lots of practical job-related uses.
I think that immersive virtual reality has a huge potential in education, particularly in historical and architectural education, because you can actually take the students and put them into those worlds and have them be able to physically interact and receive information through triggers and interacting with space. So from a pedagogical standpoint, it has a huge potential in education. And so that's specifically what I was studying, is how could this environment be used in a lesson plan or in a classroom to teach about architecture?
I think this is beneficial because in research and more area we should use virtual reality in applications. For example, for our major transportation and for medication or education, many areas we need to use virtual reality.
So I think that definitely is a future. You know, you don't have to have such a high-end space like that. Google has come out with some Google glasses that are cardboard, and you could put your cell phone on there. So there's cheap ways to do this. Everyone in the world now has a smartphone, so just putting that over your face with the two circles with lenses, you can experience spaces around the world that you wouldn't have been able to experience without having to fly there. So I think in 10 or 20 years from now, it's going to be really exciting. I think the resolution is going to get better and better. The 3D worlds will get better. The gaming engines to run this stuff will get easier and more complex with the way you interact with it. So it's going to be exciting.
See more work in is the use of it for synchronous learning. So moving from video-based interactions through a screen to virtual environments and or augmented reality environments where you might be in a physical classroom or any other type of space and be able to see the other participants as if they're there with you and interact with them and the teacher in a more natural way. Something that would be really interesting would be an ability to control the level of immersion via software or hardware, even like a knob, where you can, if you're in a classroom with other people, you could choose it to be just augmented reality, so the other participants are there as holograms in a sense. But if you're in another setting where you need it to be more, where you need to block out more of the real world, like you're in a coffee shop, where you could dial it to be fully virtual so that everything is generated by the computer, so you feel more immersed and you're not as distracted by the other pieces of the real environment that are not in that are in disagreement with what you're supposed to be doing. So
I think it has so many possibilities for medical technology, for people that are confined to a hospital bed, that aren't able to be mobile. It can help them maybe experience a better quality of life.
I think that this is the beginning of a huge explosion of VR. It has a lot of interest. There's potential in every field, not only education but entertainment. Also, there's starting to be virtual reality movies, one of which I've seen, which is extremely effective because you have this 360-degree view of this environment. So being able to feel like you're there and experience that world through entertainment is pretty amazing too. So I think it has a tremendous future.
Yeah, I think it's definitely will be more and more popular, and in much more areas they will use the virtual reality in their in the study and in the work and the research.